Have you ever wondered why loving yourself feels so much harder than loving other people? Why is it that you can forgive a friend for making mistakes, encourage someone who feels lost, and celebrate another person's success, yet become your own harshest critic? The answer isn't that you're broken. It's that you've been taught to measure your worth through achievement, comparison, and the opinions of others. Stoic philosophy offers a different path. It teaches that peace doesn't come from controlling the world, it comes from mastering yourself. Self-care, from a Stoic perspective, is not about escaping reality or chasing comfort. It is about building a strong mind, protecting your character, and creating a life that remains steady no matter what happens around you. Your inner dialogue is the most influential conversation you will ever have because it never stops. From the moment you wake up until you fall asleep, there is a constant stream of thoughts shaping your emotions, decisions, confidence, and perception of the world. Many people spend years trying to improve their lives by changing external circumstances while completely ignoring the voice inside their own minds. They search for better jobs, healthier relationships, more money, or greater recognition, believing those things will finally bring peace. Yet, even after achieving what they once dreamed about, they often discover that the same critical voice still follows them. Stoic philosophy teaches that true freedom begins when you learn to govern your own thoughts, rather than allowing your thoughts to govern you. The greatest form of self-care is creating an inner dialogue that is rooted in wisdom, honesty, and compassion instead of fear and self-judgment. Every word you repeatedly say to yourself becomes a belief, and every belief gradually shapes the person you become. If you constantly tell yourself that you are incapable, your actions will begin to reflect that belief. If you convince yourself that failure defines your identity, every setback will feel permanent. But if you choose to speak with patience, resilience, and clarity, your mind begins to develop the strength to face challenges without losing confidence. The Stoics understood that events themselves are not what disturb people. It is the interpretation of those events that creates emotional suffering. Two individuals can experience the same disappointment, yet one sees it as proof of personal weakness, while the other views it as an opportunity to grow wiser. The difference lies entirely in their inner dialogue. This is why mastering your thoughts is more powerful than controlling circumstances, because circumstances will always change, while your ability to respond can continue to improve. Imagine speaking to your closest friend the same way you speak to yourself after making a mistake. Would you call them a failure because they had one difficult day? Would you tell them they are not worthy because they stumbled along the way? Most likely, you would encourage them, remind them of their strengths, and help them focus on the next step instead of dwelling on the past. Yet many people deny themselves this same kindness. They become both the judge and the executioner inside their own minds, repeating harsh words that slowly erode confidence and peace. Stoicism does not encourage empty praise or unrealistic optimism. Instead, it teaches balanced thinking. A Stoic does not pretend everything is perfect. A Stoic simply refuses to exaggerate problems or turn temporary setbacks into permanent identities. There is a profound difference between saying, "I made a mistake," and saying, "I am a mistake." One statement acknowledges an action, while the other attacks your entire sense of self. Learning to recognize this distinction transforms the way you experience failure. Every challenge becomes a lesson instead of a life sentence. Every obstacle becomes a teacher instead of an enemy. The quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" ask, "What can this experience teach me?" Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," ask, "What skill can I improve today?" Instead of believing that one bad moment defines your future, remind yourself that every new choice creates another opportunity to grow. Your mind pays attention to whatever you repeatedly focus on. Feed it fear, and it will search for more reasons to worry. Feed it gratitude, discipline, and wisdom, and it will begin noticing opportunities instead of limitations. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the mind takes the shape of its most frequent thoughts. This ancient insight remains remarkably relevant because modern life constantly competes for your attention. News headlines, social media comparisons, criticism from strangers, and unrealistic expectations all attempt to influence how you see yourself. If you fail to direct your inner dialogue intentionally, the outside world will happily do it for you. That is why daily reflection becomes one of the greatest acts of self-care. Spend a few quiet moments examining your thoughts instead of automatically believing every negative idea that appears. Not every thought deserves your trust. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. They come and go like clouds passing through the sky. You have the ability to observe them, question them, and replace them with wiser perspectives. This practice requires patience because years of negative thinking cannot disappear overnight. Every time you interrupt a destructive thought and replace it with a balanced one, you strengthen your mental discipline. Every time you refuse to insult yourself after making a mistake, you reinforce self-respect. Every time you choose encouragement over criticism, you create an environment where confidence can naturally grow. Self-love is not built through perfection. It is built through the consistent habit of treating yourself with dignity, especially during moments of weakness. The person you become tomorrow depends greatly on the conversations you have with yourself today. When your inner dialogue reflects wisdom instead of fear, resilience instead of doubt, and purpose instead of comparison, you begin to realize that the strongest source of peace has been within you, all along, waiting to be heard through a calmer, kinder, and more disciplined mind. Discipline is one of the greatest forms of self-care because it demonstrates that you value your future more than your temporary comfort. Many people believe self-care means giving yourself permission to rest whenever you feel tired, avoiding difficult tasks, or constantly rewarding yourself with things that bring immediate pleasure. While rest and enjoyment have their place, Stoic philosophy teaches that genuine care for yourself often requires doing what is difficult rather than what is easy. The choices that strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, and build your character are not always the most comfortable in the moment, but they create a life that is far more peaceful and fulfilling. Over time, every disciplined action is a quiet promise you keep to yourself, and every promise you keep strengthens your confidence. When you repeatedly follow through on your commitments, you begin to trust yourself in a way that no compliment from another person can ever provide. That trust becomes the foundation of lasting self-respect because you know your actions match your values. A disciplined person does not rely on motivation to move forward. Motivation rises and falls with emotions, circumstances, and energy levels, but discipline remains steady even when enthusiasm disappears. This is why the Stoics admired consistency more than intensity, They understood that small actions repeated every day have greater power than occasional bursts of effort. Waking up when your alarm rings instead of pressing the snooze button, choosing healthy food instead of instant gratification, finishing an important task before scrolling through distractions, and making time to read, exercise, or reflect are simple habits that gradually transform your identity. Each decision may seem insignificant on its own, but together they shape the person you become. Every disciplined choice sends a message to your subconscious mind that you are someone who can be counted on. Instead of waiting for life to become easier, you become stronger. That shift changes everything because strength built from discipline cannot be taken away by temporary setbacks. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from mastering yourself rather than being controlled by your impulses. Many people think freedom means doing whatever they want whenever they want, but a life ruled by impulse often leads to regret, stress, and disappointment. A person who cannot control anger becomes a prisoner of emotion. A person who cannot resist distractions becomes a prisoner of wasted time. A person who constantly seeks comfort becomes a prisoner of laziness. Real freedom is the ability to choose what is right instead of simply reacting to what feels pleasant in the moment. Discipline gives you that freedom because it allows reason to lead where emotions might otherwise mislead. There will always be days when you feel unmotivated, discouraged, or uncertain. On those days, discipline quietly carries you forward. It reminds you that progress is made by action, not by waiting for perfect feelings. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about rising each morning to fulfill his duty despite discomfort. He understood that every human being has responsibilities, and honoring those responsibilities gives life meaning. Modern life constantly encourages instant gratification. Everything is designed to capture attention, provide quick entertainment, and satisfy immediate desires. Yet, the things that truly improve your life usually require patience. Physical fitness takes months of consistent effort. Financial stability grows through disciplined decisions over many years. Healthy relationships are strengthened by daily acts of honesty, respect, and kindness. Emotional resilience develops through repeatedly choosing calm responses instead of impulsive reactions. None of these rewards appear overnight, but every small step moves you closer to becoming the person you want to be. Discipline teaches you to value long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. It changes your focus from what feels easy today to what will make you proud tomorrow. This perspective removes much of the internal conflict that causes unnecessary stress because your decisions become guided by principles rather than moods. Loving yourself also means protecting yourself from habits that slowly damage your future. Staying up late every night, neglecting your health, avoiding responsibilities, or allowing negative routines to continue unchecked may provide temporary comfort, but they quietly weaken your confidence over time. Every time you break a promise to yourself, your self-respect suffers a little. In contrast, every time you honor your commitments, even the small ones, your confidence grows stronger. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of overcoming challenges instead of avoiding them. This inner trust becomes more valuable than external praise because it comes from lived experience rather than opinion. The Stoics understood that character is built through repeated action, not through wishful thinking. You cannot think your way into becoming disciplined. You become disciplined by practicing discipline every single day, especially when it feels inconvenient. There is remarkable peace in knowing that your happiness no longer depends on changing circumstances, because your greatest strength comes from habits that remain under your control. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to practice consistency, patience, and courage. Some days your progress will be obvious, while other days it will seem almost invisible, but every disciplined decision adds another brick to the foundation of your future. Over weeks, months, and years, those ordinary moments become extraordinary results. You discover that discipline is not a punishment or a restriction, but one of the purest expressions of self-love, because it proves, through action rather than words, that your future is worth protecting, your dreams are worth pursuing, and your life deserves the steady guidance of a mind that chooses growth over comfort every single day. Self-respect is not something that appears because other people admire you. It is not created by compliments, popularity, social status, or material success. It is built quietly through the choices you make when nobody is watching. Every action you take either strengthens or weakens the relationship you have with yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches that your character is your greatest possession because it cannot be measured by public opinion or taken away by changing circumstances. When you consistently act according to your values, you begin to trust yourself. That trust grows into self-respect, and genuine self-love naturally follows. Many people spend years searching for confidence in the approval of others, only to discover that external validation is temporary. One compliment can make them feel valuable today, while one criticism can make them doubt themselves tomorrow. A Stoic refuses to build self-worth on such unstable foundations. Instead, they focus on becoming the kind of person they would admire regardless of whether anyone else notices. This is why consistent action is one of the greatest forms of self-care. It transforms your identity from the inside out. Every promise you keep to yourself becomes evidence that you are dependable, capable, and worthy of your own respect. Every promise you break teaches your mind the opposite. Your subconscious is always paying attention to what you repeatedly do, and over time it forms beliefs based on your actions rather than your intentions. It does not matter how many goals you write down if your daily behavior constantly contradicts them. Lasting confidence is earned through repeated evidence that you can rely on yourself. Imagine deciding that you will wake up early each morning to exercise or read for 30 minutes. The first day may feel exciting, but after a week the novelty fades. Some mornings you will feel tired, distracted, or tempted to postpone your plan until tomorrow. Those ordinary moments become defining moments because every decision shapes your identity. When you choose to honor your commitment despite discomfort, you send yourself a powerful message that your word has value. You begin seeing yourself as someone who follows through rather than someone who constantly makes excuses. This quiet transformation often happens without dramatic announcements or visible recognition, yet it changes everything. You no longer need to convince yourself that you are disciplined because your actions prove it every day. The Stoics believed that excellence is not found in occasional heroic efforts, but in the steady practice of virtue. Courage, patience, honesty, and wisdom are strengthened through repetition. Just as muscles become stronger through consistent training, character becomes stronger through consistent choices. Many people underestimate the importance of small habits because they focus only on dramatic achievements. They believe success comes from one extraordinary breakthrough, but life is usually shaped by ordinary decisions repeated over months and years. Reading a few pages every day eventually creates deep knowledge. Saving a small amount of money consistently builds financial security. Speaking kindly to yourself each morning gradually changes your mindset. Choosing patience during difficult conversations strengthens emotional maturity. None of these actions seem remarkable on their own, yet together they create a person who stands firmly on a foundation of self-respect. One of the greatest obstacles to loving yourself is the habit of making promises that you never intend to keep. You tell yourself that you will start tomorrow, work harder next week, or change when circumstances improve. Each broken commitment weakens your confidence because your mind begins believing that your words cannot be trusted. This silent disappointment accumulates over time, making even simple goals feel impossible. Stoicism encourages a different approach. Instead of making grand declarations, begin with small actions that you can repeat consistently. Keep one promise today, then another tomorrow, and another the following day. The goal is not perfection but reliability. Every fulfilled commitment becomes another reason to believe in yourself. Every completed task reminds you that growth is created through action rather than wishful thinking. Self-respect also means refusing to compromise your values for temporary approval. There will always be moments when taking the easier path seems attractive. You may feel pressure to remain silent when honesty is needed, to follow the crowd instead of your conscience, or to sacrifice your principles to gain acceptance. The Stoics understood that betraying your values damages your inner peace far more than facing criticism. Living with integrity allows you to look at yourself without regret, because your actions reflect who you truly want to become. This quiet alignment between your beliefs and your behavior creates a confidence that cannot be manufactured through appearance or reputation. It is a confidence rooted in knowing that your character remains steady regardless of external circumstances. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to reinforce that character. Every difficult decision becomes another chance to prove that your principles matter more than convenience. The process is gradual, and there will be days when you fall short of your own expectations. Stoicism never demands flawless performance. It asks only that you honestly evaluate your actions, learn from your mistakes, and continue moving forward with determination. Growth is not measured by never failing, but by refusing to let failure become your identity. Each morning offers a new opportunity to choose actions that align with your values. Each evening provides a chance to reflect on your progress with humility instead of harsh judgment. As these moments accumulate, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop chasing confidence because confidence becomes the natural result of living with consistency. You stop seeking constant approval because your own respect becomes more meaningful than temporary praise. You no longer define yourself by occasional emotions or isolated setbacks because your identity is supported by countless small decisions that reflect discipline, honesty, courage, and purpose. Through these daily actions, you gradually become the kind of person who inspires trust, beginning with the trust you have in yourself, and that quiet confidence becomes one of the strongest expressions of genuine self-love. Loving yourself is not arrogance. It is recognizing that you are responsible for the person you become. Every decision you make is either building your future or weakening it. Every thought either strengthens your confidence or feeds your doubts. Every habit either moves you toward freedom or toward dependence. Choose the habits that make you proud of the person you see in the mirror. Choose discipline over excuses, gratitude over comparison, reflection over distraction, boundaries over people pleasing, and wisdom over temporary comfort. You don't need to become someone else before you deserve your own love. You become worthy of deeper self-respect every time you choose growth over comfort, courage over fear, and integrity over convenience. The Stoics remind us that the greatest relationship we will ever have is the one with ourselves. Protect it, strengthen it, and honor it every single day. Because when you finally learn to lead yourself with wisdom, patience, and discipline, loving yourself stops being a goal. It becomes your natural way of living.